I would wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. Drive to the course, pick up a coffee on the way, obviously, grab the first tea time of the day. Kind of a theme there, and then and then just loop my 18, get back home and start my work day, and that was kind of my reprieve in a time of chaos. So didn't overthink it too much. I love coffee. I love golf. First tee time. Put it all together. Maybe I'm a master marketer, or maybe I'm just a simpleton. I don't know. Well, that's yet to be seen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast. Jonathan had 100 last week. We're at 101 this week. We're on to the next set of great podcast.
Yeah, I've been thinking about what the next 100 should include. And up to this point, we've had lots of Gamecocks, and we've also now going to be talking about coffee. So I'm thinking Dr. Pepper and maybe someone from Illinois. I don't know. I feel a little left out here, buddy. You get all your buddies, and you get coffee. Like, you love coffee. I don't drink coffee
I
at all.
haven't gotten any coffee. I mean, I'd be happy to receive some, but
No, but you drink coffee. You're excited about talking about coffee.
you mentioned Gamecocks and wanting somebody from Illinois. We kind of hit both of those with Andrew Kiddick. I don't know if you remember him. He's with the Western Golf
Up in
Association.
Chicago. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
and-
Yeah.
So that was a double. That
I
was a
need
double.
Dr. Pepper and golf. If you're listening to this and you are somehow connected to Dr. Pepper and you love golf, we need to get you on the show. I want to know
Please.
what the 23 flavors are. So if you've got that kind of secret, let's do it.
That would be hilarious. If Dr. Pepper is out there, let's or if your name's Dr. Pepper, that'd be fun too.
I'm waiting for the official sponsorship right here.
There you go. Jonathan drinks out of that cup for every single beverage he ever drinks.
Except for Dr. Pepper.
You don't put Dr. Pepper in there?
I don't put Dr. Pepper in my Dr. Pepper cup, no.
Oh man, I feel like there's a psychology podcast that needs to have you on to talk about that or something.
So many other problems before we get to that.
Yeah, well, today's guest, I thought about it, talking about coffee today, and then in a couple weeks we have Zach with Del Campo socks, and you're not a coffee guy, and
No.
you're not a sock guy,
I'm
so
not.
I'm hitting all the things you love.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, so Steve Campagnone, First Tea Coffee. He's down in Charleston, so he is a South Carolina guy.
That's what I'm saying.
We didn't ask him if he claimed the Gamecocks or not, but I'm going to go ahead and tell him that he is. But yeah, so he's joining us today talking about coffee, what they're doing. And Jonathan, if you did have to drink coffee prior to playing golf, do you even know like what your go-to might be? Like,
So my wife loves coffee. My children drink coffee, and because I love my wife, every 5 years I have a cup of coffee. I try a cup of coffee because they say that your taste buds change as you get older. So I am trying to figure out when and how and where I can eventually like coffee. But I've tried coffee in Europe. I've tried coffee in India. I've tried coffee in all kinds of places and spaces. Still tastes like dirt. So I'm pretty sure at this point it might not happen.
you might need to go join our new friend Tucker and go to Hardee's with him. They might have some good coffee for you.
Yeah, the Hardee's heart-shaped biscuit sounds like a good idea for Valentine's Day, but
Oh,
I
man.
don't know if I'm going to get coffee from there.
Yeah, we are coming off an incredible Good Company gathering. It was so much fun. So thanks to the guys that joined us for that. And we'll be letting everybody know about Good Company 2, that we are working to lock in the dates and location. It's going to be a lot of fun. So you guys will want to be sure to register for an opportunity to sign up for that. So anyway, Steve Campagnone today, First Tea Coffee. But of course, as we lead into it, we got to talk about our friends that are partners with Best Ball. One Summit Golf brand, so Beach Ratty, Zero Restriction, Fairway and Green, and EP New York. Jonathan and I are both, I think, looking okay. The shirts look great. They make us look better in our Beach Ratty shirts here. So many thanks to Dan Drollinger and the team there for their support. It's a lot of fun working with these guys. Like every time we've said something to people that know golf, we're like, yeah, we get to work with them. They're like, oh, I love their company. I love their clothes. I just think what they're doing is really cool. So we're honored to be a part of that family. And if you go to the Beach Ratty Zero Restriction Fairway and Green, different websites, and use Best Ball 20, they've agreed to let our listeners and those that follow the show get 20% off. So many thanks to these guys. Jonathan, Western Birch, we just had them do some stuff for Good Company, but talk about Western Birch for a second.
Yeah, so if you haven't gone to Western Birch and figured out how you can put your own personal logo in the little cup, it's fantastic. Yesterday, every single par three, we had a Good Company logo put on the tee, and you just bend down and there's a whole row of Good Company tees just still sitting there in the dirt. Every time I thought I broke one, I didn't. I just pulled it out of the dirt, cleaned it off a little bit, put it back in my pocket. So, great company to work with, great folks doing reinventing sort of the tea to make it better, which again, I'm still convinced can't be a good business model because you need to break more teas, but you just don't. They play really well.
Yeah, great folks. We appreciate that. And finally, the Stack and Arcos, two brands that are helping us with course corrections. Jonathan, I went out and did it this morning in the rain because it's important to continue getting better. But yeah, check out course corrections. Check out what the Stack system can do for your game, for swing speed, and Arcos for figuring out where you're losing strokes and where you need to practice. So check that out. But without further ado, here we go with our guest, Steve, with First Tee Coffee Company. Y'all enjoy. Today's guest on the Whole Story podcast, new friend coming in from Charleston, South Carolina, Steve Campagnone, the owner and founder of First Tee Coffee Company. I love the quote, love coffee and golf, which I love both of those. The quote on his website, quality coffee should be as accessible as a wide open fairway. Jonathan, I know you like wide open fairways, so I think this will be you prefer them. It makes it a little easier, but Steve, welcome to the Whole Story podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. I need as many wide open fairways as possible because the second that trees come in, it just breaks my brain on the tee box, and then it's bad news bears from there. So, but yeah, thank you very much for having me. Founded the company about a year ago. I think May was launch. Had been doing a little bit of work leading up to that point, but yeah, it's pretty straightforward in terms of the, kind of getting the company going, which was I love golf, I love coffee, and just combine the two things that I know a lot and that I love and kind of just move from there. And here we are a couple months in, and it's certainly been a journey and an adventure and hopefully a lot of growth to come.
So, which came first, like coffee or golf? Were you the kid with, black coffee at Folgers at 3 years old, or did you have a cut down set of clubs from your dad?
Maybe he was putting into old coffee cans.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that'd be a good
that
one.
would hopefully help my short game, which is not in the best spot right now. But so I didn't start playing golf until really playing golf until my mid 20s, but I had picked up the game when I was in college, and we can extrapolate a little bit more on that story. But I'd always been a coffee lover. I don't know if it's abundantly apparent by all the vowels in my last name, but I am Italian. So I've had espresso running through these veins since my teenage years.
Very nice, very nice. Well, we did learn that you're a Notre Dame fan, and so I don't know what makes you more anxious. Maybe it's that third, fourth cup of coffee, or watching your Irish play
Only
football.
the big games, which we seemingly can't win. So
Yeah. Well, I mentioned before I'm a Gamecock fan, so if you guys could beat Clemson every now and then, that'd be fun. Yep. So what was the first time like? First time playing golf. Take us back to that. And what was it? You said you love golf. What was it that caused you to fall in love with the game?
great question. Yeah. So first authentic time playing golf. I never played before, never swung clubs. Just borrowed a old pair of probably 1980s beat up clubs from from my father-in-law, and went out with some buddies after we graduated high school. It was kind of a, hey, we graduated high school. Let's do this sort of thing as like a celebration. So we went out to just some dog track and played the game. And I always had an appreciation of the game and an enjoyment for the game like honestly through like video games and watching the occasional tournament on TV growing up. But didn't really know how to play, didn't know what I was doing, just was going out there and whacking things around. I probably shot like a 220 that day. Who knows? It's your first time ever playing, and you don't know how to play. You don't know how to elevate or get any loft or compress or anything, right? But what I will say is obviously, by the time 18 gets around, I'm frustrated because I haven't been playing well, and I just swung the club as hard as I possibly could, and somehow I got the driver to go straight, and then I was, you know, I I don't I don't know the exact distance, but a pretty decent away ways away from the green, because obviously you're not going to have as much distance when you're first getting started. Um, Again, just swung a club as hard as I possibly could. Ball lands on the green, maybe 50 feet away from the cup, and then I drain a 50-foot putt on 18 for my first ever birdie on my first ever round. And I was like, oh, okay, like I got some moves going. I can make this thing work. And that was when I was 18. I didn't really start playing the game until I was 21, but that was my first ever experience. And to close out what was obviously a horrible round with an exciting finish was, that's how you get hooked.
The one that
Exactly.
gets you back.
I'm I'm convinced that all golf courses are in on the secret, that there's something about the 18th hole where they've like rigged it with magnets, or I don't know what it is, but everyone, you can play horrible and you'll pull out the driver on 18 and somehow it works. And then you're like, oh, well, it just took me a round
Yeah.
to figure it out. Let's do
Yeah,
this
I've
again.
I've lost six
Yeah,
balls off the tee, but I find the fairway, on 18 and find a green
that's
in
right.
regulation, and now I can't wait to play next week.
That's exactly right. There's got to be something they've done to it. So
So
it's,
were you drinking coffee at the time too? When did that kick in?
Um, well, I mean, I've always, since my early teenage years, been a coffee drinker, but
Is that a Boston thing? Was it
of
Duncan? You grew up
course,
on
yeah.
Duncan?
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Rhode Island, and then I've been working and living in Boston the last 10 years prior to moving down here to Charleston. And yeah, pretty much, donkeys was the way of the world, back then. And in regards to, what how everything kind of moved forward was, I actually noticed, when I was driving to the courses, kind of just to get into the genesis of first tee. What happened is during COVID, we I got to work West Coast hours once a week for my day job, my corporate job, and I do have the privilege of being able to work remote from home. So what I do is, on those days where I did work West Coast hours and didn't have to log into the computer until 10:30, I would wake up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, drive to the course, pick up a coffee on the way, obviously, from one of these big names. Head over to the course, grab the first tee time of the day, kind of a theme there, and then and then just loop my 18, get back home and start my work day, and that was kind of my reprieve in a time of chaos. So didn't overthink it too much. I love coffee. I love golf. First tee time. Put it all together. Maybe I'm a master marketer, or maybe I'm just a simpleton. I don't know. Well, that's yet to be seen.
so walk us through, because I'll admit, even though you're on this podcast and we're glad you're here,
We can fix him. Hold on. Go
I
ahead, Jonathan.
I I don't like coffee, and I've been married for 26 years. My family loves coffee. They're big drinkers, and every 5 or 6 years, I try coffee again. We were in Italy last year, and I'm like, surely I'm gonna like coffee here. I just don't like coffee, but yeah, right. Gas station coffee in Italy is on a whole nother level. Like my family was so excited about that. But how do you get into? Because if you like coffee, that means you like
Mm.
good coffee. So how does like First Tea Coffee? Tell us about that, like the sourcing, where you're getting your beans. Like for all the people that actually are going to want
Mhm.
to buy this and try it out, they're going to want to
Sure.
know these things. That's what I've been told. So tell me about
I,
the
I want to know
Yeah.
these things.
right, yeah, exactly. So tell us about the backstory of your coffee brand, where you're getting things, and why it's the best thing to have in
Yeah.
your cup. rolling up to the first tee
Thank you.
box.
Um, I get well. My experience in the world first. I did. I actually went to college and I got a degree in hospitality management. I was planning on
Okay.
working in hotels for my career, and I ended up going a different route. But part of that was I had to take a lot of food service classes because they want you to be
Okay.
well rounded. And one of my food service classes, what it was, I actually had to take a tasting course. Now I took it for the booze,
Oh.
quite frankly, because it was every Tuesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. and I'd be nice roasty toasty after a couple of pops after that course. But the first couple of weeks was non-alcoholic and it included coffee. So that's where you know good coffee when you drink it. But going through that course and being able to identify notes and bitterness and you know the difference between wash and unwash and kind of all the intricacies of coffee in and of itself, that was a good place to get some baseline knowledge. From there, after college, I was hopping around a couple different jobs, and one of those ended up being the manager of a coffee shop. So, and again, that's where you just get more knowledge, more experience, and everything, and certainly an appreciation for every ounce of caffeine I could get into my body. Now, how that
So what was it, like a local coffee shop? So did you learn, like Jonathan was asking, like the sourcing, like, if you hadn't have been in it, figuring out, I want to start a coffee business, where do I buy stuff? Like, I think that would be hard, but maybe you had some a little quicker
Yeah,
insight to
of
figure out
course.
how to
So
do it.
in regards to kind of the journey up to today and how everything is sourced, I do work with a local supplier here in Charleston, South Carolina. It's a local roaster. That's currently the plan, and you know just because startup to be able to roast my own coffee, that's going to be quite the journey. But ultimately, the goal, I would love to open my own roastery someday.
Nice.
But as it stands now, I do work with a local roaster right here in Charleston. You know, it's small scale, small batch, so it's not going to be, you know, overly, you know, high processed sort of stuff. It's all organic. And then there's a variety of different countries that we import the beans from Honduras, Colombia, Nicaragua, Costa Rica. So you know the big names that you would get to know, and everything's all organic and USDA, and you know all the fancy stuff that you would need to know. But the long and short of it is that the coffee itself, it's very high quality. I love it.
So,
I love it.
is there an equal to a sommelier in coffee, like wine? Like, are there people that can take a drink and be like, "Oh, well, this is from the South Hills of Colombia, picked in 1994." Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like that
Yeah,
show
I mean,
Soma.
if
Have you
there
seen that?
is, then
Yeah.
they got a better palate than me. I mean, again, you know good coffee from garbage coffee. Like you'll inherently know it when once it hits your tongue. But you know, if you're able to break down countries of origin, you know, by your sips, then that's mightily impressive. I don't foresee I'll ever have that sort of skill.
But there is to take it to the basic level, you drink a chain coffee brand, just their black coffee versus a coffee
Hmm.
shop's coffee that's doing things similar to how you're doing it. There's a
Hmm.
distinct taste difference, and you can tell, like, one's more
Yeah.
burnt and one's
Yeah,
good.
burnt
Yeah.
Like,
versus unburnt, you know, and then just degree of freshness, right? Because you think about any of these
mm,
big boxes, you know, these huge international brick and mortar companies, inherently at that sort of scale, they have to buy bulk, they have to produce bulk, they have to roast bulk, and it's you know, it's just the higher that you go, it's still good, but you know, there at a certain point when you go to that sort of volume the likelihood that you are going to sacrifice a degree of quality increases just because at that point it's just you know it's just drive through tickets and transactions and that's you know that was kind of the one of the driving factors in me wanting to start my own thing, which is like you know I'm driving to this golf course you know 5 o'clock in the morning during my COVID adventures, and it's you know there's no one marketing to me I was never seeing anything on social media you know marketed towards me. I was you know obviously there's no sort of brick and mortar stores that are dedicated for you know golf and coffee. So just being another drive-through ticket just kind of felt impersonal, and again, like with quality of it, just wasn't exactly thrilled with paying $5.30 for some burnt coffee, right? Just to make another
Yeah.
billionaire more money. So I decided, hey, you know what? Maybe I could get in on this action. Maybe I can be the guy that's selling the coffee beans rather than buying them.
Yeah. So you've got your beans coming in, you've got your
Mhm.
roasting partner, and then future that'll be you as well. What's distribution like? Obviously nobody's pulling up to your house grabbing their coffee on the way to the course. How do you get your coffee, the first tea coffee, to the
Yeah. So
consumer?
as it stands right now, being in startup mode and small scale, I work directly with my supplier in a co-packing capacity. So basically, orders come in, everything is fresh ground, packaged and then shipped right out from the supplier, from that facility. Now, again, long term, I want to make a lot of changes to kind of the distribution and supply chain to that, and a lot of that being, kind of owned by and operated by me. I would like to be the one actually, roasting those beans and making everything. Also, that gives me an opportunity to kind of expand because right now, again, we're starting small scale, just selling
All online
all
sales and
online.
stuff?
That's going to be changing pretty shortly here. I think there's I think we're going to be doing some local sort of stuff, like a pop up
Nice.
tent. I think is kind of a goal and an objective of mine. Just to be able to go out there, start pouring some coffee on weekends at some local courses, meeting some cool people, and hopefully slinging beans.
Man.
Can I
God.
again? I don't drink coffee, but I have a whole family that does. Can you buy whole beans and
Oh
then
yeah,
grind them yourself, or
yeah,
do they
and
come?
that's
Oh,
my
okay,
recommendation. I mean, I
right,
sell ground, if ground is what people want, but there's just something about whole bean just feels
right.
just
You
feels
get
so good in that bag. And then being able to roast it completely fresh on your terms, right? Like every single morning I go down and I know that every single roast is or grind more accurately, is to my specifications. Whether I'm going a little bit more coarse, if I'm going with a French press as an example, or if I'm feeling pour over like I did this morning, then go a little bit finer with the grind. So being able to personalize that, customize it, have it be fresh ground every single time for my morning coffee. That's why I have a special appreciation to whole bean, and I wish a lot more people did too.
what's your go-to for like if you're going to the golf course, are you pour over? Are you French
So if
press?
I'm actually in my day to day, I'll just for my corporate job, and then you know watching after my daughter. Um, I'll just go with traditional French press or pour over. Just run the football basically, right? And but if I am going to the course and taking something on the road in like a thermos, especially around this time in Charleston, typical days are anywhere from 40 degrees to like 55 right now. Some up into the 60s or 70s if you're lucky. But yeah, if I'm throwing something in a thermos and heading to the course to play, I actually go with a quad shot Americano. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds good.
I,
Quad
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
By hole number 8, you're not just finding your ball, you're watching it
Oh
move
yeah,
through the
yeah.
air. You're
I
like
might even be
you're
controlling it with my
wired all
mind
the
at
way.
that point.
That's exactly right.
The quickest swing you've ever seen.
Speeds
So,
up.
all right, for Jonathan, who doesn't drink coffee, his wife does, describe like the perfect process for uh, for the morning cup of coffee. Like if you just want to sit there and enjoy one, and I like hearing from experts on this kind of stuff. How would
Hmm.
you do it?
Um, Counter question: is this before a round of golf or just a day? Just a day off. Just a
Just
day.
a day, a lazy Saturday morning. You're wanting to enjoy some coffee and a little
Yeah.
quiet time.
Well, after the little one, I have a 4 month old. After she's all taken care of and addressed and put down for her mid morning nap, that's when I'm, head over into the kitchen, prepare my coffee again. It's usually usually pour over or French press, fresh ground. But if it is a weekend and I have a little bit more time to get a little bit fancy, I do have a milk steamer, so maybe I might go with like a cappuccino or a latte. But then I just go after I have my morning coffee, or prepare it more accurately. I'll go on my back porch, catch in some natural sunlight, just do some stretching, and then enjoy my coffee and just enjoy silence. 10-15 minutes of just, I don't want to think, I don't want to speak, I don't want to listen, I don't want to care. That's my time. That's my time away from the world. I listen to nature, I relax, try to stretch in any capacity because Lord knows this body's getting old. So um,
Imagine if we take that mindset though and apply it to golf, right? Like instead of like getting frustrated about your shots and everything else, like if you just take that, man, I'm out here in nature. Let me just go easy and reflect and enjoy some coffee, but enjoy, being
yeah.
there, right? And then in the company of friends and no matter what the score turns out to be,
And
you're
you're
enjoying
gonna
it.
find yourself playing better in those situations. I try to
Exactly.
subscribe to the philosophy of stoicism. Not successfully at times. I'm Italian. I have a temper, but um, but yeah, no, just being in that moment, be in your own 2 feet. Right, as a saying has been said to me, it's not my own. I'm not that smart, but just owning your space, being in, just taking that time in. Exactly to your point, when you're on the golf course and everything is going wrong, because Lord knows that's my game as like a 10 handicap. Things are going right, left, and all over the place. But you take a step back, just relax, and there's people that'll never have the opportunity to play golf, whether it be financial or physical or anything of that sort of circumstance. So just appreciate the fact that you're out there is kind of the philosophy I like to take, and I'll still probably shoot a 93 and want to snap every club in my bag, but then the next week I'll go out and get into the low 80s and be right back in a good mindset. So it's the way that life works.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like you're a little busy now. So if I'm calculating correctly, you have a 4-month-old, which that's a whole thing. That is a
Hmm.
real whole thing. You have a coffee business you're doing, and you have a real job as well, like a day thing that requires
Hmm.
some of your time. So how often are you actually playing golf
And
right
I'm going
now?
to be starting a second business, golf business here shortly. And I also, my 4-month-old is not in daycare. I take care of her time during the day at home while I work. Um, I'm up to my eyeballs.
Are we ready to break some news here and tell us what this new business is going to be,
Uh,
or
that'll be coming in due time. It's
All
might have
right,
to have another
well,
podcast, I
I would
that's
guess.
certainly
right.
look forward to it. Thank you. Yeah, it's I just the way that I see it, I'm very appreciative of my corporate job, but ultimately it's a corporate job, and I'm
Hmm.
working for somebody else, making them money, and I'm kind of I'm past that life, and if I could just be my own man and be my own independent person, that's kind of my dream. I don't really care about making millions if I can just make income replacement of what I'm currently making and just play some golf and have some fun all day, take care of my family, provide for them. That's all I really care about. But yeah,
Yep.
I try to get out playing golf. Back to your original question, at least once a week. Thankfully, I have a cheap muni right by me. That's to be a member of it, even though it is open to the public. It's like $2,000 for the entire year. So
Is it the
it's not the
Charleston Muni?
Charleston Muni. No, it's called Crowfield Golf Club. Yeah, it's owned
Okay.
by my municipality, and
Nice.
but they just went through a fantastic renovation. From some money from the city, like $1.5 million. So now there's a new back patio with a putting green, fire pit, covered pavilion, and everything for some post round bevies. So it's a great spot. It's affordable, and it's 5 minutes from my house. So yeah, since I've signed up and already pay the $2,000 a year, it's easier for me to convince the wife, hey, take the baby for a couple hours and give me some freedom.
There you go. Are they serving your coffee yet? That's the
That's only a
question.
matter of time, brother.
Come on,
I
guys.
did just
Come
get my
on. We
first
gotta.
vendor contract with a pretty nice club, actually down in Mount Pleasant. So,
Very nice.
thank you.
Nice.
So
Congrats.
that's one of hopefully many. It's all part of the grind.
Yeah. So is that one of the goals? You want to get your coffee into these courses so that if they don't swing by, somewhere else on the way there, they can get it good coffee at the course.
Yeah. So it's going to be, online is obviously kind of the predominant right now, but definitely trying to get, be the supplier into as many courses as possible, and then even get bags into some pro shops eventually is, that's a hope and a dream. So there's a bunch of different directions to go into. The way that I see it right now, because I started this thing really with no money. I have no capital investment. It's just me against the world, which is totally fine. That's how it's been my whole life, and quite content in those circumstances, because you know what they say about being surrounded is you can fire in any direction, and something will eventually work. So that's why I'm having a lot of fun with this.
That's like a lot of people's golf games. They feel surrounded, so they are firing in all directions.
Ball goes everywhere.
And ball goes everywhere. So tell everybody, where do they find the coffee? Like give us I know it's firsttcoffee.com. What options are there? I mean, is it just, I think there's some flavors as well, right? Like tell us what the options are, where to find it.
So as of now, again, just starting small scale, but certainly plan to expand in the future to to have more product. But just coffee beans and grounds right now, whether it's again whole bean or ground to your specifications. We have just the 3 basic roasts: light, medium, dark, and then there's a hazelnut, a French vanilla, and then we also have a pumpkin spice. And I'm going to try to continue to do more seasonal stuff and maybe do some limited drops here and there along the way. Again, just kind of figuring it all out as we move along.
Nice. Well, we do always like to talk about some people like to talk about coffee, but we always like to talk about golf. So
and coffee.
And coffee. We don't talk about this is the only time we've ever talked about coffee, to be fair. But we always talk about golf.
We need to do it more, I guess.
All right. So we ask every guest on our show, what is your most memorable shot? It might be that first birdie you got a long time ago, but
might be the 4-shot Americano.
Okay, that's a good one. I think I'm going to go with my first ever flushed 3-wood. And again, this was early on in my golf career, 21, 22 years old. Just go out there like trying to use the appropriate term, just slapping it around, keep it PG. And, with some buddies, a little bit of booze, hanging out on a weekend. Par 5, uphill tee shot, downhill approach, probably 500 to 520, playing from the whites at the time. Decent tee shot. I at least get it up into a pretty open fairway. And then looking down, I'm guessing probably 220, 230 yards. And this was at a time where, again, as a beginner, it's so hard, at least it was for me, to actually hit a good 3-wood. And I was like, well, I know that this is not going to go right, but if I can just get this, it's a par 5. If I can just get this relatively close to the green, hopefully I can get up and down for maybe birdie, but more likely than not, par. Just trying to save par at that point. So my buddy was on the phone actually next to me, talking with someone. And just as I just wound up and swung as hard as I could at the thing, completely flushed it, dead straight, penetrating ball flight, like right at the pin. This made it sound like a gunshot. My buddy on the phone stopped his conversation. He goes, "Holy shit, Steve!" And yeah, sure. I mean, of course, I still 3-putted for par. I'm sure of it. But absolutely nutting that 3-wood for the first time. Again, that's one of those things where that'll give you a high for a month after that.
Jonathan's still looking for his first flushed 3-wood.
Right. I had an iron one time that made me buy new clubs. That's the only thing. I was like, I need new clubs.
Oh, very nice.
That's
very
awesome.
Nice. That's a great story. We do always remember those shots. So that's really cool.
Yep. Well, we like to do another thing we call the quick nine, just a little back and forth, nine quick questions. So let's start off with what's the favorite course that you've played?
RBC Heritage Harbor Town. Yeah,
Ooh,
that was my
good
first
choice.
ever golf trip back in 2019 with my with my group of fellas, and yeah, it was a great one.
Nice. I
That's
have been there multiple times, but that one's on my bucket list.
Go
I have
on.
not crossed it off yet. All right. So, what's the top course on your bucket list?
Kiowa. Haven't played it yet. Obviously it's only maybe an hour drive for me, but I think pound for pound Kiowa might be. I've played it a million times in video games, and it's something I vehemently look forward to playing someday.
Yeah. Just be ready to watch the strokes and the total go up. It's fun, but it's
I
a
believe
hard
it.
course. That's awesome, though.
so Charleston, Litchfield, Myrtle Beach. It's obviously a golf destination. If someone's listening to this and they're wanting to come down and play golf, what is the best course in the Low Country that no one knows about?
Okay, that's a good one. I'll plug my home track here. I'll plug my home track, like I was saying. Very affordable, extremely difficult, crazy undulated greens, but very fun.
Nice.
It's going to make you think through every single shot. It is the thinking man's sport, and especially on my particular course. So Crowfield Golf Club. It's up here in Goose Creek, South Carolina, maybe 25 minutes north of Charleston. Um,
Nice.
Do they have really wide fairways?
no,
No?
it's
Oh,
a bit
man.
more target golf, and that's why I just can't break that 80 number. It's haunting me, but I'm an out of bounds merchant.
I like it. All right. If you could only play one hole of golf for the rest of your life, what hole
Wow,
would it be?
that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
We've had some that say par threes, and they just tell us which par three it is because they get different tee boxes. Some say a par five because there's
I'm
more
going
shots.
with the
I
par
don't know.
5 fifth hole on the Jones course at Pine Hills Golf Club up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Yeah,
Tell us about
it's a downhill par 5. It's the marquee hole. If you go to their website, again, Pine Hills Golf Club in Plymouth, Mass. It's just this massive ledge. You're maybe 120 feet up, overlooking just some of the most beautiful, pristine landscape that you can imagine. Off in the distance is the Cape Cod Bay, and it's a fun hole. And if you can find it's pretty open off the tee. So if you can find the fairway, then good chance that you're going to be competing for birdie on that hole. So just the vistas, the course, the venue, kind of everything start to finish. Yeah, Pine Hills 5th hole.
Nice.
All right. Who would be in your dream foursome?
Hmm. I want to go with the big cat just because why wouldn't you?
Right.
If I'm able to bring somebody back from the dead, Frank Sinatra. Yeah.
Nice.
That's a good
And
choice.
then if I'm getting one more, I'm gonna go with Colin Morikawa. Oh, just something about the guy. Really, really like him. and
Yeah.
watching him
That's awesome.
flush his irons would be a hell of a day.
That'd be
well,
an
you meant-
interesting foursome.
That'd be a great foursome. Well, you mentioned Sinatra, and maybe he's the one. But are you a music on the course guy? And if so, is it Frank Sinatra you're listening to, or something
A
else?
little bit of everything. I am a music on the course guy in certain scenarios. Sometimes, as we just a quick little callback to before, it's nice to just put the phone away, get rid of all technology, especially when I'm playing alone and there's no one around. No technology, no music, no noise, just me and nature and me and the course, and that's something special in its own right. But when the time and place is right, and you are ripping a bit of music, I'll go with anything from your traditional yacht rock, which is quite popular these days. 90s alternate and acoustic is right up my jam. I'm born in '90, so that just reminds me of my childhood. I less Sinatra these days, but I'm not opposed. Not opposed to bringing out the Rat Pack, and then also, um, probably some folk music. Just relaxing, guitar, chilling out, having just having a good time, enjoying nature, enjoying my peace.
Nice.
Choices. What is your favorite snack on the golf
Mm.
course?
Besides coffee.
Yeah.
I'm not a big snacker, but if I need something in a pinch, I'll probably just like grab a banana or an apple or something like that. Just to throw it down the gullet, and of course, if we had a bad front nine, then you got to get a meat missile at the turn. But yeah, I typically don't eat when I golf.
Okay. Very nice. Favorite golf course logo?
Ooh. I like Stream Song. I played Stream Song back, during the COVID times. I played the Black course down there, and yeah, that swooping S I think is just unique. It's a good one. Again, I love Harbor Town as well. That the lighthouse is iconic.
Lighthouse is
And then
good.
there's one more I would say where I got married up in Maine. It's Booth Bay Harbor Country Club. Man, what a track that is. That's holds a special place in my heart for sure.
Did you
Cool.
did you get to play the course the day before you
I
got
didn't
married,
play
or the
before, but
morning
played
of?
after. Yeah. So,
Okay.
we my in-laws.
1:30 wedding,
Yeah,
2 o'clock tea
exactly.
time.
Right.
So my in-laws, they got their retirement house up there, and that's why we ultimately went venue shopping when it was time to get married. And um, when as part of the weekend after everyone went home after the ceremony and everything, we did stick around for a couple of days, and me and my wife just for an extended mini moon, and that's when me and the wife did a stay and play package there. So yeah, special course. It's
Nice.
phenomenal.
She plays too?
I'm getting her into it. She's played 4 or 5 rounds with me. She's a
All
nurse
right.
practitioner, so and she's she has an hour commute every day for work. So it's yeah. So that's why I'm stay at home daddy daycare. Kind of doing things on my end, and as things opening up and get a little bit easier for her with a little bit more time, we'll get her into the game. She likes the idea of it. It's just
Yeah.
being a mom right now is kind of just her main priority. We're not going to fault her for it.
Yeah. All right. Last question. What is next for First Tee Coffee Company?
Yeah, so I want
Without revealing the big
yeah.
secret.
Without
Well,
revealing the big
there's
secrets.
definitely some things down the line that you know I certainly hope to accomplish. But in the immediate term, I think I said before, I excuse me, I would like to get a pop up tent, get my own kind of espresso machine, and just have my own little mobile pop up. Go to local courses, pour some coffee for people, get to know them. That's a revenue driver for me in the short term, just to make things a bit more dependable and reliable, get the name out there, brand recognition, and again maybe sell a couple of beans here and there along the way. So that's at least in the short term. I'm also continuing to hit the sales, hit the feet on sales whenever I can. So when I can get into enough country clubs, I have a certain kind of number in my mind that's going to allow for me to start, excuse me, start expanding kind of offerings, whether it be K cups, cold brew, um, you know, just providing more, appealing to more customers, getting more product out there, more SKUs. So those would be the big two right now. Just country club sales in order to increase product, and then just recurring revenue in the short term with a little pop up.
There you go. That sounds great. Well, everybody needs to go check out firstteacoffee.com. Follow Steve and First Tea Coffee on social media stuff. Get some coffee. Order some. He'll send it to you. And yeah, looking forward to trying some myself. And we'll get Jonathan to start drinking some
I'll
coffee.
try it. I'll try
We'll,
it.
we'll get his wife to drink it, and
That's
she'll
true.
talk him into it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Steve, it's been fun having you
Yeah,
on the
guys,
podcast.
it's certainly been a pleasure. Thank you so much for everything.
Yeah. Well, for Steve and Jonathan, this is Robby. You guys have been listening to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast.